Hey guys, okay, so today we have another episode in the Braids synthesis model series. Today we have the polyphonic wavetable. With the timbre control we can change between the wavetables, and we have 4 wavetables that are working simultaneously. And we have with the color knob we can change between power chords and major chords and minor chords. Let's have a listen actually. So here we have the wavetables and here we have the chords. And it sounds amazing with lots of reverb on it. Very cool. This is a nice model, I have to say. And what I wanted to try today, so something really cool happened a few days ago. Someone wrote me on my YouTube channel on one of the videos. Actually, it was the last episode of the synthesis model series. And he offered that I will use a sequencer from the Holonic Systems. It's called Dumbwaiter. Now, in the last episode, I used a lot of the ADDR sequencer from BogAudio, and I said that I wish I could modulate the forward and reverse modes, so the run modes. And then this guy, really nice of him, suggested that I will use this sequencer that has, first of all, you can modulate its running modes, so it has forward, backwards, ping pong, random. Of course, you can also modulate where it will start, and also the length. But what is really interesting here, and this is something like, I think it's the A152 from Doepfer, this sequencer, that you can split the triggers from the sequence to 2 different destinations. So you can route the triggers out to 2 different destinations, which is really cool. You can create really cool patterns. So I thought we can try this. So let's set the BPM, I don't know, let's go with 115, let's say. And let's multiply this already by 4 because I want my sequence to run really quickly. Let's send this also to the reset. And let's go with a 7-step sequence. And now let's do something like this. Now this will output triggers. And I will want to run the first wavetable, the first braids through slap first. And slap will receive gates. So let's use DGate from BogAudio, and this will, let me show you this also on the scope. This will convert the triggers. It will convert it to gates. So you can see this here. The blue trace is the triggers, and the yellow, let me just shorten the gates maybe, so now you can see this better. And not the yellow, the pink is our gates that we will receive. So instead of triggers, we will get gates, which is, in this case, will work better with slap. So let's send the gate to slap, and let's send the wavetable or the braids first to slap. And I hope I will remember also later to show you something really cool in the right-click menu with the signal mode, which we still didn't try. This is episode already 29, and I still didn't show you this, and it's a shame. But let's start with this. Okay, so we have 7 steps. If I put all the switches in the center, the trigger will come out only from the first input. Let's do this also. I will show you later also why. Maybe we will modulate the start. So now we will have all the triggers coming and triggering this slap. Now down will be no triggers, and up will be coming from the second trigger output. So we can set a few in the center or in the middle, and a few will go up. maybe, you know what, maybe some delay, maybe the delay we add later. I will add another voice. So I will just duplicate this. Of course, today again, like in each episode, I will use only braids in this model as a sound source, just to explore a bit the different things we can do with it. So again, this will go, the second macro oscillator, the second braids will go to another slap. DGate will receive the output from the second trigger output. This will trigger a slap and this will go to the mixer. Let's stay with mono for now. And let's change the frequency. And the wavetable of the second oscillator. Oh yeah, okay. So you see we have one sequence, but the triggers are going once, according to what we set here on the switches, to the first oscillator or to the first slap in this case, and once to the second slap. And what we can do now, we can add also nice delay. So let's go with Alright Devices Chronoblob. Such a nice delay. And now maybe we will make it also stereo. Let's see. Left and right in Chronoblob. Let's go with the ping pong delay. Let's sync it also with our clock already, and this will go to a stereo channel this time. And let's see what we can have here. Let's change the delay times. Maybe something like this. Oh yeah. Maybe a bit less wet and a bit less feedback. And now what we can do, we can add also sample and hold, some sort of random signal to modulate the decay time of both of the slaps. So let's do something like this. I would use ions, but what I, not ions, brains, but what I will want to do is something different. So let's see, sample and hold. I think I will use Shhhh from Southpole, which is actually 4 sections of the sample and hold section from Kinks, from utilities, from Audible instruments. So let's trigger the first sample and hold with the first trigger, and the second sample and hold with the second trigger coming out of a Dumbwaiter. The first one will modulate the first slap. So it will be according to the trigger it's receiving, the first slap, and then it will go to the second slap. Just open the attenuator a bit. Okay, now we have some movement, maybe a bit reverb. And now we have also a sequencer, so we have also control voltage that we can send out, pitch information if we want. So we can use, let's say, another oscillator. And let's say that this oscillator, I will want it to play always when the first trigger is playing or the second trigger is playing. I want to mix those triggers. We can of course use a mixer, but we can also use Boolean logic. We can use an OR logic. An OR logic which it will mean that when one trigger is high or playing, let's say, or active, or the second is active, or both, we will get a gate out of the OR output. So let's use both triggers, and let's use another slap. So now what will happen, this slap will be triggered in all 7 steps. I could also actually use the clock, which is also maybe easier, but I just wanted to show you this, so you will know that with an OR logic you can also, it's a sort of a mixer. I mean, the triggers are not happening in the same time, so they are not really mixed, but just that you know. Okay, let's use another wavetable, another braids to slap. This will go to a new channel. Let's solo this for a second. Very nice. Okay, so now what we will do, I will use, let's move everything here, I will use Quantum as our quantizer, because I will want to quantize this signal. So let's see, you know what we can do? No, let's use Quantum, that's okay. Okay, so as the CV output will go to Quantum, here we have an attenuator for the CV output, which is amazing. Because here we have, if I'm not mistaken, or positive 5 or positive 10 volts, which is anyway much too much. Each volt is an octave and I don't want 5 or 10 octaves. So we can attenuate this signal. And let's take this to the volt per octave of Braids. Let's enter a minor sequence, let's say. And let's start changing here. And let's also change, maybe go with something like this. Maybe we can modulate the timbre. So let's do this with another sample and hold, but we will trigger this sample and hold with the clock. And this is why I didn't use Braids. If I will show you Braids for a second, in Braids we have just 2 trigger inputs, which is good when you are using something like a clock or something, but here we used triggers from the sequencer, and I wanted now, for example, another sample and hold that will be triggered from the clock. And let's modulate also the decay with the same sample and hold. Let's change what we can change. I think it's nice like this. Maybe some reverb. What we can do is we can create sort of ratcheting using a sequential switch. Sequential switch, let's use the fundamental one. So we have 4 inputs and 1 output. This one output will go to trigger slap. So let's take the output of the OR logic, send it to the first sequential switch, the input of the sequential switch, and this will go to slap. And let's use just two steps. So we have step number 1 will be this, it's actually our clock. And let's use also a clock multiplied by 6, let's say. Let's see how this will sound like. So let's just for now switch between them. Okay, very nice. And now let's use the Bernoulli gate or branches, also from Audible instruments or Mutable instruments. Let's use the same clock multiplied by 4 clock. Let's change the probability a bit, that it's not coming out of A so much. So again, what branches will do, it will receive a clock or a signal, and according to the probability you set here with this knob, it will flip a virtual coin and it will output this signal sometimes from A or sometimes from B. So you add a sort of randomness, and this will clock the sequential switch. And what we will use the same clock that we have from the sequential switch also to trigger the sample and hold. And let's use actually 3 steps, and in the 3rd step we will use the same clock just so we have more, that we have more of the normal clock, let's call it. And let's see what happens when we are not multiplying it by 6 but multiplying it by 3, so it will be slower. Okay, the problem is, it's not a problem, but it's the notes are changing according to this clock, so what's coming in Dumbwaiter. So let's see, let's multiply this by 6 again. Yeah, because now we have more of a ratcheting feel than with the multiplied by 3. And now what we can do, we can use, where is animated circuits, Panimated, which will modulate the panning. So you see we have one input but two outputs left and right. So this voice, let's solo this again, will be panned left and right. And we can use, let's say, a random source. And we can sync it with the clock from the sequential switch. Very cool. Now what else we can do, which is also really cool with this sequencer, is that each of the steps has an input, a CV input that we can use to change the notes in each and every step. So we can use a different sequence in one step, or we can use sample and hold, for example. This is what we will do now. And this Dumbwaiter has an, you can see it also here, it has an internal sample and hold. It says sequencer sample and hold. So each of this input is a sample and hold input, and the signal, or let's say the pitch information that we will use now, will go in the one of the inputs, and with each clock, where is it? With each clock it will be sampled. So we can use, let's say for step number 7, we can use a random signal. So let's use another sample and hold. This sample and hold will be triggered from our clock, multiplied by 4, and it will go to step number 7. And now this knob here is an attenuator, attenuating the signal. So let's add another voice, this time without ratcheting and all sorts of stuff. Let's just see how it is as it is. Let's go again from the quantum that we have here. So you can hear that every time it reaches step number 7, we have a different note. Let's stay with this. I wanted here to modulate. We are modulating timbre, okay. Let's modulate this here also with the same sample and hold. Let's take this just down a bit. Very cool. So you see again, each of these inputs, it's a built-in sample and hold that will sample the signal coming in and will output it from the CV output. So actually what we can do, we can create a whole sequence just inputting random sequences here in the inputs of each step, or just in a few. Now let me show you what I wanted. Let's leave this voice for now as it is. What I wanted to show you with the signal option in the right-click menu. Let's choose a nice chord that will fit the whole what we have here. Okay, I guess it's this one. And now you're ready for this? So what the signal will do, it will add another dimension to the sound, and with each and every model on Braids it will do different things, and in this model it does this. You ready for this? Oh yeah. Again, without, let's solo this so you can hear it. Adds lots of distortion. Oh yeah, and with reverb it sounds amazing. Yes, Braids is nice. Nice. Let's add a nice sequence to this. What shall we add? Let's do something like this. Let's do something like this. Okay, let's use kinks, Audible instruments, utilities. Let's sample what we have, what comes out of quantum. So again, sampling. We will trigger this with a much slower clock. Let's take a clock divided by 12, let's say, or let's go even with 16. Now each time the sample and hold is being triggered, it will sample what's coming in the input, which is it's a quantized signal coming out of quantum from the sequencer. Now because the sequencer has 7 steps and here we are using a clock divided by 16, we will always get a different note. And it will take a while until it will reset itself. And what I also want to do, I want to use a slew limiter. I want this glide in the sound. So the output, this output is already quantized. Again, it's coming out of quantum. We don't need to quantize this again. And this will go to these braids. Let's add some attack and release. Maybe even more. Oh yes! Okay, this is cool because it is taking 2 notes. We have like a short sequence, which was unexpected. Now it stayed on the same note. Let's modulate the timbre with an LFO. I will use the LLFO again, BogAudio. Let's set it to slow, so it will be an LFO, so a low frequency oscillator. And let's say take the offset all the way up, so we have a unipolar signal. Let me show you this again. If I take it again to the center, the offset, reset the offset, this will be our waveform. It will go from -5 to +5 volts. Oh, now it's a different note. Oh yes, yes baby. What I want is a just negative voltage, so from 0 probably to +10. We can also scale it a bit down, so if I push the offset all the way up, it took this waveform and it offset it from 0 to +10 volts. With the scale knob we can scale this a bit down, so we have again 0 to 5 if we want. Offset it a bit downward, so now we have approximately 0 to +5 volts. Let's use this to modulate the timbre, but just a bit. And turn it even slower, so we have nice movement. Let's take again this signal out, just so you see the difference without distortion, which is also nice, but if you want to add some more grit and more character to the sound, we can also add here some delay. Let's use another chronoblob, but this time let's move the modulation here. Oh yes, but this time let's use a mono delay. So if you look in the right click menu, we have a dual ping pong. This will be stereo, but we have here signal and cascade, which are mono. So let's take the braids to the left input. It will come out from the left input. Again, let's sync it with our clock. And let's solo this and see what happens. Maybe a bit more wet and feedback. Longer delay times. Maybe even longer. Oh yeah. What we can try and do now, we can try and transpose this sequence also. So let's see first what happens. Let's use constants from ML modules. This will output constant voltage, so a voltage that will not change. And here we have it in spaces or in jumps of semitones. So we have one semitone, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. Let's use the +7. We can go up plus with the plus or go down with the minus. Let's go up 7 semitones, which is a fifth. I will send this to the transpose input. Which is not so cool. So let's leave it as it is without transposing. And let's listen to our voices, make some order here. We have the rhythm. Let's stay with this chord. Maybe something brighter. Then we have this weird, which is not so nice actually. I will leave it as it is. If you download the patch or if you build the patch with the video, you don't have to use it. It's not fitting so much, I have to say. I have to be honest, but this is a part of the thing here, building a patch from scratch, to make also things you don't like and to learn from it. This is the whole fun. This, I will not do it again. This ratcheting, it adds a lots of chaos, too much chaos to the patch. I don't like it, not in this case. And then we have this voice, which is much more nice with the rhythm, and I think it's also nicer with this solo, without this ratchet voice. Okay, now let's try some FM madness here. Let's take another braids. Let's leave it with this signal on. By the way, we can add also drift. So let's add drift here also. So the pitch will drift slowly out of tune, adding lots of movement. Let's leave it. And let's see what we'll do. Let's use Spank. Which is like slap but much more snappy or much snappier. Let's turn it already to hard. Let's use our braids to the VCA section, then to the mixer. Let's add this to the, you know what, let's add also let's use all voices. We have the ratchet sound, let's use it. And let's use the gate. Let's use, what shall we use? Let's use for now the multiplied by 4, I don't know. Let's solo this and see how it sounds like. So we have this. We will modulate the timbre also with the sample and hold that is triggered by the same clock. And now what we will do, let's FM this. Let's modulate this braids frequency. Let's use let's say the braids that is doing the solo. Let's call it the melody. Open the FM. So we can use this for hi-hat. Okay, let's see, maybe a bit less. And let's try something else, or let's leave it with a hi-hat, let's say, for now. Modulate again the decay time. We can also try and send noise. We have noise here. Now I'm not going to use this as a sound source, but only to modulate, let's say, the color of braids and add some more character to it with noise. Let's try with the pitch. Let's do both. This is white noise. Let's take the pitch also all the way up. It's a nice weird hi-hat. Let's take the sine out. Let's bring it in, exploring some sounds. We can also use Panimated here. Let's duplicate it. And again we will have a stereo signal that will be modulated, or the panning will be modulated. Let's sync it with our clock. And now let's do something like this. Let's do something like this. Let's take a VCA and I will create something quasi ring modulation. So ring modulation will be amplitude modulation. So audio rate, amplitude modulation, level modulation, volume modulation, but it will go also to the negative voltage, so it will also flip the signal or invert the signal, invert the phase. So this is true ring modulation. We can also create amplitude modulation, which will give almost the same result, almost the same sound. So let's see, let's use another wavetable, another braids. Let's just reset everything, take also the signal out. Very nice. Let's send this already to the mixer. Let's solo this, see how it sounds like. And now let's take another one, but use this braids to modulate the VCA, to modulate the amplitude. Which is totally weird and doesn't do so much in this case. Let's use a different VCA. Let's use, you know what, BogAudio is also, if you're going with amplitude modulation, let's go full on ring modulation. We have also, where is it? BogAudio ring modulator. Very nice. So let's see, let's take both signals, one to the modulator, one to the carrier, and let's take the output to the mixer. Which is again really weird. Okay. And now with this, we can create all sorts of weird percussive sounds. So let's use again Spank and take the signal first to Spank. And now let's use the same multiplied by 4 clock. Take the decay a bit up. And let's use again the same sample and hold. Or you know what, let's take the sample and hold for the first section to modulate the exponential frequency. So from the actual volt per octave input. And then use the second section. Create all sorts of blips. And let's modulate also the decay with the last section of the sample and hold. I don't know, doesn't sound so cool like I wanted. Let's set both of them. Oh. With the signal feature. And let's do something like this. We have kinks here. Okay, so let's take out the sample and hold from the volt per octave. Let's take once our sequence from quantum. And let's send this sequence once to the inverter. section on kinks, on utilities. So we have the input, and from this output we will get the inverted signal. So this will go to the second braids. So maybe we'll have something that will fit. Sounds like a big mess dispatch. Add some highs here to the sort of a hi-hat. Okay, now it's a bit better. It's not so bad. Let's try one more thing. Let's try and create a nice kick. Let's see if we can do something like this with this model because of the wavetables. I don't know, we will try. Let's use another Spank. Send let's just reset everything. Send the braids to Spank. And from Spank to the mixer, let's solo this and let's use our main clock. Take the pitch all the way down. And we have here the envelope output. So from this output we will get the envelope that we set here. Let's send this to the FM input and start raising, opening the attenuator. Let's choose. Oh yeah. Just a different wavetable. What we can also do to add some bass to everything, and this will sound weird maybe, but I will add tangents and I will use a high pass filter. So I know a high pass will take the lows out, but what I will do, I will use a lot of resonance and I will set my cutoff point. This is low pass, I wanted high pass. And I will set my cutoff point somewhere here in the low frequencies to boost the low frequencies. Something like this maybe. Some more drive. Oh yeah, somewhere here. Let's take the volume up. This sounds so weird. Okay, but that's how it is. Oh yes, you hear this detuning here with the drift function on. How it's drifting in and out of tune. Maybe just a bit more reverb to this voice. Anyway, this was still interesting, still exploring the sounds. so many things we could do more, or let's say with a different patch. And this Dumbwaiter sequencer is really interesting. It's also a sequential switch, so there are two modes here, sequencer, sample and hold, and switch, which is also interesting, so you can use this as a sequential switch. I don't know. It's weird, but it's okay. Let's have an overlook here what we have. How many braids we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a lot, but that's how it is. Anyway, that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a nice tone, a nice note. If you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button. If you enjoy what I do, please consider becoming a Patreon. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe and hit the bell. And have a good one.